Hello, hello. Welcome to Business Spotlight USA. Monica Gunderson here with Chisel Action Coach. Favorite part of my day, my week, when I get to talk to business owners and learn about their journeys and share their stories on this platform. Today, I'm super excited to have Brian here from TaskOS. Hi, Brian. How are you?
Hey, Monica, I'm doing well. How are you?
I am great. Thank you so much. So, Brian, thanks for being on. Super excited for the listeners to hear your story. Why don't we go ahead and learn a little bit about you, Brian, and a little bit about TaskOS?
Okay. My business story, I guess, actually goes back pretty far. I started my first company when I was 15. I wanted to start a t-shirt printing company. My dad and my grandfather were both printers. So I kind of got everything together that I could. And then my dad kind of saw the effort I was putting into it, and he thought, "Man, maybe I should join my son in this." So we started a company together. I was in charge of all the marketing and the art department. I learned how to use Adobe Illustrator and Photoshop. And my dad was obviously, he had money and I didn't, so he bought all the equipment, and we went into business. So that business is actually still running. I don't know how many years later. We started in '95, I think. So that was kind of how I got into it. And then when I went to college, I decided I needed beer money. So I started another company called Artwork IQ. And that company was a sort of a subset of what I was doing at Impro, the printing company we started. So I was working mostly with printing companies, with sign companies. A lot of companies have machines they use to output. Maybe they make signage for trucks. Maybe they do make billboards. And most of their customers don't know how to get them the images they need to do that. They might have like a business card with their logo on it, or a tiny little JPEG image or something. And these aren't usable for those processes. So I built my company around serving those printers and those sign makers. Since then, we've expanded that to working with all sorts of manufacturers. Our work is, you can see it in any like NCAA gym. We create the artwork for, or not create, but we prepare the artwork for all the weights, the mats, the targets, all of that stuff for a big company that does that sort of work. And we do, basically, if there's an image that needs to be changed, that's what we do. So that's my second company, which I don't do too much day-to-day on that one anymore. I have a very good staff. So my newest endeavor is called TaskOS. So because we have several thousand customers with Artwork IQ, and they all have somewhat different needs, they're all using different machines, we built some software to make managing the knowledge about how to do those tasks much, much easier for my employees. And along the way, we also learned how to automate a lot of the tasks that we do. So I'm also a software developer, did I mention that? So, the main problem we're trying to solve with TaskOS is that there are all sorts of platforms where you can build standard operating procedures. You know, back in the day, they were just in notebooks or binders. Now there's other platforms, but employees often don't follow those procedures. They don't look for them. They're kind of hard to get to. So what we do with TaskOS is we have a little widget that lives in the bottom right corner of your screen and shows the next task that you need to do, which is data that's usually imported from something like Monday.com or ClickUp or Asana. You might have heard of these different task managers. Mm-hmm. So when you're using TaskOS, you click on that, and then the boring parts of the process will be automated for you. So it'll find your template, whatever your business process is, whatever business process you're already doing in a computer, it'll take that process and start running it without the user necessarily needing to be involved for much of it. And when they do need to be involved, and there's a human choice to be made, then the human looks at like, does this design look good? So if this is like if you're a clothing brand and you're automating the creation of new clothing designs, like, does this design look quite right? The computer might not have gotten it quite right. So the human jumps in, makes some tweaks to the fonts, maybe changes the colors, changes the balance a little bit, clicks continue, and then the computer continues on, probably eventually like fulfilling it to a customer by emailing it to them, or sending a proof, or handing it off to the next person in line who needs to deal with it, which might be like a printer or whoever. So yeah, we built a pretty flexible platform that can automate just about any process. And I could get into the technical details of that. As a nerd, I find that to be very, very fun, but not everybody likes to hear the acronyms like RPA and AI and whatnot. But so that's my business journey in a brief description, maybe not so brief description of my various companies.
Well, my mind is almost blown, like hearing even without saying things very technical, Brian. I mean,
I'm
what you
sorry.
but what you have taken from one, from your journey of 15 years to now is really awesome. And that, and you've just, I would say to you, and one thing that I would celebrate with you is the world is always turning around us, right? And it just sounds like you've taken advantage of any opportunity that comes, and even problem solving is awesome. So love how it all ties together. So tell me, awesome to hear your, almost like your dad grew with you, right? Like he's like, "Hey, Brian, that's a really great idea. Let's figure this out together."
Mhm.
What would you say is your passion and your why behind your entrepreneurship and your businesses?
So every day people spend a lot of time not being in flow. So, when you're working on a project and you really get into it and you kind of lose track of time, you're doing good work and you don't have distractions, and it feels really good to work like that. The problem is a lot of jobs, especially on a computer, they make it hard for people to get in the flow because there's so much context switching between different programs and trying to remember where this file or this template is stored, that sort of thing. So my mission basically is to help employees enjoy their jobs more, do better at their jobs, and help the businesses that are working for succeed as well, of course.
Absolutely. When you're in your flow, you get amazing results, right? And it sounds like some of the distractions that maybe get in the way, this takes those away. So
Absolutely. It, everybody should be doing meaningful work. So if you're an artist, digging through templates, folders, looking for templates, looking for past projects, that sort of thing, that isn't fun. What is fun is looking at a design and making it perfect, at least perfect from their point of view. That's the sort of thing. And then it's the same with any sort of business process. I know a lot more about the art world, of course, because of my experience with the previous companies. But we've been using this methodology, this software with other companies as well, like CPAs, for instance. They have a lot of very boring work, and then they have a lot of very specialized knowledge that is really where their value lies. So automating their processes has been a lot of fun as well.
yeah, oh, very cool. So when you talk about, those automations and some of the technical side, but also
Mhm.
bringing the human side into it, can you talk about how that comes together to create a uniqueness for Task OS?
Um, a uniqueness as in like the product, how the product is
Yeah,
unique.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I think what we're really doing is we're bringing together a lot of good technologies
Mhm.
that until now haven't been made available to every employee in a way that's like easy for them to use. So there's something called RPA, which is called robotic process automation. And that's a very useful automation tool that allows you to sort of create a bot that pretends to be a human and does human-like things on the computer. But so that's useful, but many things don't work well with RPA. And also there isn't, it's not really accessible to small and medium-sized businesses without, it really is best when you have somebody like who is a specialist, who is an in-house person who specializes in automation, and most small and medium-sized businesses can't afford that. So one of the goals of our platform is to make this these techniques that can be difficult for most companies and their employees to use to just be a click or two away, and to be managed offsite, so they don't need to hire very expensive either in-house automation help or agencies that set it up and walk away, and then eventually those automations break over time after software gets updated. And I could go on about all the other different technologies that we use. We make it look easy, but there's a lot of totally different automation technologies that we bring together to create sort of one of the more powerful, I think, software packages in the market.
Very cool. And the word that I would love to put on that, and it's just a very important word to me at my heart, is just access, right? And so it just sounds like when you talk about that small and medium sized businesses being able to access, technology and software and resources to make their lives a little bit easier, their team members' lives easier. I think that's very cool. So that is great. So let's, talk about 3 to 5 years of, that goes by very quickly, but where do you see TaskOS evolving over the next 3 to 5 years?
So right now, we're very focused on making individual like recurring tasks automated, but there's also a lot of other steps to that process that could be made easier. For instance, we're planning to build a system where if an employee wants to turn a task that they know how to do, that's just in their head, that's not an SOP, into a process in TaskOS, they can click a record button, and then the AI that we'd be building would learn how to document the process and would provide video examples and other tools that would allow the process to be built much, much quicker and easier. There's also, this is a little ways away, although we have some of the infrastructure built, is the ability to determine where in your business processes you're being least efficient. So because this TaskOS is keeping is guiding the process, it knows how long each step takes, and it can also see where people have to go back and fix something later if there was a mistake. So that's going to be very useful for companies to allocate their resources. Like where should we be improving our processes? What's the best way to improve our processes? And then eventually opening up the platform so that other companies that are very like specialized in building automations for certain industries can use TaskOS, so that we can scale much more than we can, because right now we're helping to build the automations in-house, which can only be scaled so far. So we're a pretty new company, and we're doing the venture thing, raising money, and hopefully going to be very big someday. At the moment, it's a kernel, but it's a very powerful kernel, I think, and we're making pretty good progress.
Yeah, kernels, seeds, right? That's where it all begins. So absolutely. And I just, when you speak about, the idea of repetitive tasks being able to be kind of automated, I just think about the leverage in that. Something that's so repetitive, you can do it once and then it just kind of starts to automate, is just such a great thing for businesses with their efficiency. So love that. So as you have been through all the, the several business adventures, including, the reason for beer money. And,
that was a little bit of an exaggeration, but yeah.
We are in Wisconsin, so that's understandable. But I would, I'd ask you, and one of the things, we love to hear, and our listeners love to hear, is, what's the most memorable speed bump that you hit in developing businesses?
Yeah, there's so many, so that becomes a little tricky to answer. This isn't so much a speed bump as like a series of speed bumps, but when you have a smaller team, the difficulty in managing your time when you're building a process and you're also marketing and you're also doing sales. I know that's not a very specific example. I suppose my first two companies, flowed fairly smoothly. I guess their biggest problem is like, it is plausible that we could run out of money before becoming profitable. So raising money is a new thing for me. My first two companies, my first one, my dad funded with like a pretty small amount of money. And the second one, I just bootstrapped. So that's tricky. And then also it took me a long time to learn how to talk about this stuff in a way that wasn't super, super nerdy and technical and engineer brainy. And I still have some work to do there probably, but I guess that's going to be my answer.
Yeah.
You can cut out the rest of it if you want, but anyway.
Well, I think
That's
that,
about
no, I think I think you answer that so well. And I think the thing that I would bring to your, is the self-growth, right? So you're like, hey, I needed to learn how to, use different language, right? Or
Yeah,
up my
absolutely. Yeah.
approaches. And so I needed
Mhm.
to learn how to raise money, right? Like those are all really great things that um, you had to do as an individual to have the success that you're having. That's awesome. So what is one thing, and I know we're back to like one thing memorable, but what is one thing you would want people to know about your business that you don't think they currently know about TaskOS?
Yeah. That's a question that let me see if I have a note on that one. Yeah. I guess it's very difficult to bring a new product to market that doesn't where there isn't anything to make a direct comparison toward. So the analogies of other products people might know about are always like a bit of a stretch. So I guess I would hope that people would take the time to learn about how we're different. Because it's a lot of work and it's actually usually quite expensive to educate people on a new product that isn't very similar to products that already exist. I don't know, that's my answer anyway.
Yeah.
It's yeah, so
Yeah. So if I'm hearing you correctly, like as a potential client of yours or user of TaskOS, like
mhm.
just learning it and you can learn it and it can be simplified versus it feeling so overwhelming because it's new. Is that kind
Yeah,
of?
a lot of that is
Yeah.
on me,
Yeah.
or us, building out better analogies to describe it. So my answer, in a sense, is I wish I had a better answer, and we're working on that.
Well, great. We're always a work in progress. So there you go.
Hmm.
Um, let's hit some power questions. These are fun. What would you
Okay.
say is the key to success?
Well, there are many, but I would say a good rule of thumb is just try to get a little bit better every day. So both as a person by learning and also as a business by improving your processes or being a little better to your employees or just making your website a little bit better every day, which is something we very much need to do. But I think that people don't think, like if you just become a little bit better every day over the course of a year, that's a huge difference in trajectory of where your business can be, versus if you neglect the little things and you don't try to improve everything, just a bit every day.
Yeah, love it. You talked about mats and sports arenas. Our family, we had some wrestlers, and there's a great kind of a 1% improvement. That's what you're looking for week over week was the coach's philosophy, and that was really cool. Think about just
Yeah,
1%,
people often look for really big, quick wins, and I think that can be demoralizing because often those don't happen. That's not
Mhm.
how improvement works. Improvement works in smaller pieces, and then you can get to those big chunks. But thinking in terms of the smaller pieces, I think is often very helpful.
Sure.
Psychologically.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is a very Monica question that I love to ask. If I gave you a magic wand to use in your business, what would you use the magic wand for?
I would use it to make a website that explains exactly what we do in a way that my dad could understand, like, and everybody could understand. Maybe my dad's a very smart guy, but his computer stuff can be a little confusing. So yeah, basically I would make an extremely effective marketing website. So I could concentrate more on building the product, improving the product.
Mhm.
Um, Yeah, that's my answer. That
There
would be
you
amazing.
go.
So I can give you my address. You can mail that to me, or how do we do this?
Yeah, right. And put the fairy dust on it for you so you can spread it around.
That'd be perfect. Yeah.
That's right. Exactly. Awesome. What book would you recommend the audience to read?
So the most recent book I've read, I think, was Traction, which is a business book that teaches a methodology called EOS, Entrepreneurial Operating System. So it deals with, let's see, I have my notes here somewhere, but I don't know where I put that. Anyway, it deals with various components like vision, process, quite a few other things as well. And I found that these specifics in the book about process were not very actionable. And I think in large part that's because the tools aren't quite there yet. So that was, I wouldn't say it was inspiring to me in particular necessarily because I already was building the process, but I found it a little bit inspirational, and that it kind of encouraged me, like, especially after talking to people who implement the EOS process, that several of them have been like super, super excited about what we're building. So
Yeah.
that's the last book I read.
Yeah.
Most of it's pretty actionable. The process section seemed a little less actionable than the rest, but yeah, we're hoping to kind of fill in that gap here.
That's great. Great. A little bit of a building mentality. I love that.
Yeah.
So how can people learn more about TaskOS?
So we have a website, TaskOS.com. It's still very much a work in progress, but there you can watch a video to learn a little bit more about how it works, learn a little more about our pricing structure, and you can also contact us through the website. Or if you want to get in touch with me directly, it's brian@taskos.com. And I'm also pretty active on Twitter. So @Brian Saetre is my Twitter handle.
Awesome. Twitter, email, or website. Awesome, Ryan. All right. So we love to leave with a little bit of inspiration, which some of the power questions, you definitely did that. But what inspires Brian today?
I want to create something beautiful, something new. I think that's what we're doing, and I want that to, ideally improve people's lives. So I try to do that with everything I do in my life as much as possible, including with this product. Trying to make it beautiful and make people's lives better and make their work lives better and make them better at their jobs, frankly.
Very cool. Well, Brian, I think that was a perfect way because I really enjoyed chatting with you today. And I think our conversation was beautiful and what you talked about, and you actually made something that's kind of technical. And I think you called it geeky. I'm sorry if I'm offending.
No, that's, yeah, I
You
own
made,
it.
yes, you made it really fun. And I am so glad you took the time. And we will wrap up today, and I will talk to you soon. So long for now.
Thank you very much for having me on, Monica. I appreciate it. It was a lot of fun.
Thank you, Ryan. Take care.